The thing for me is is learning to give myself be patient with myself and with other people as they recover. Like my counseling line at one point would have been to people, and this is why I'm not a therapist, was like, hey, get over it. Like, that's not really helpful. So that's terrible. It's not Jesus, it's not helpful, it's just that. But I would be so impatient with people, and so I think the journey that I've been on, for the last few decades has just been being patient with people as they recover, and giving people time to grieve. And I think, like for me, my dad, just mentioning your dad passed away, and mine passed away 4 years ago. And now I was very, and I'm aware of how blessed I am. I was very loved by my father. I was told every day of my life that I was loved. I was told every day of my life I could do what God wanted me to do. I was encouraged every day. If I had a dream, he funded it. I mean, I am very blessed. And then he dies suddenly, like he falls in his head and dies. So it was a sudden. And then within a short period of time, our identity gets stolen and we lose a bank account, and then my husband gets cancer. And so I'm navigating that. So there's like, it's like all of a sudden, I had this barrage of trauma, and I realized that I didn't really get the time to grieve my dad, because I just had to go on to the next thing. I had to put my big girl pants on, right, and go on to the next thing. And so then, a couple of years later, on a Father's Day, I just started crying, and it was 2 years later. Right? And I'm just crying because I just realized I never really had the chance to grieve the loss of my dad. And so that for me was this lesson that I have been incredibly unfair and impatient with people, and expecting them to recover at a speed that is just, it's not kind. Or so I had to obviously be patient with myself, but really with other people, just realizing that trauma hits us all differently depending on what it is, whether it's physical or emotional, and just being, patient with people, giving the time. And here's something else for me that I learned in this season of being at home all these months, because there are some real, in this last season, last few months, there's been some real relational challenges. There have been some real relational disappointments, and I'm getting emotional, and a heartbreak. And I realized that I was acting like an orphan, and I got challenged by God, because it's like, I know what it is to be a daughter of the King. I've taught that message for 3 decades. I put crowns on people's heads at my first Bible study. I know what it is to teach the daughter of the King. But in this season, I was having to relearn that again, because I was acting like an orphan. Because an orphan, when you're acting like an orphan, it means you're trying to provide your own provision. You're trying to provide your own protection. You're trying to provide your own comfort. And so I realized that in these last 6 months there was Holly, who knows what it is to be a daughter of the King, but I was acting a little bit like an orphan. I wasn't really letting God do the healing in my heart that he wanted to be. And anyway, so I don't know that made a whole lot of sense, but just learning to be, patient and give people time to grieve.
Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe today and you'll never miss a new upload. Thanks for being a part of our Better Together community.